Alright, so these are the features of the ocean floor. We will discuss them in detail in the following slides. In this slide, we will look into the continental margin. So we have here continental margin is the portion of the continental crust which is submerged underwater and continues below the sea level. The continental margin is clearly divided into three features, which we will discuss in the next slide. So the continental margin is also characterized by the presence of relief features such as submarine canyons, then alluvial fans, deep-cut valleys. So this diagram here, it shows the continental margin. See, it is an extension of the continent. Alright, the shoreline will be here, and then we have here the water level, the sea level. Okay, so that area which is still part of the continent but it is submerged under the sea or under the water, that is known as the continental margin. All of these areas shown here in blue and pink, alright, all of these are the distribution of the continental margins around the world. Alright, so they are always associated with coastal areas. This is an important feature of the continental margin. We have the submarine canyons. They are deep valleys, okay, and sometimes they are comparable to the Grand Canyon of the Colorado River. So they are like canyons, alright, but they are found under the water. That is why they are known as submarine canyons. They are sometimes found or mostly cutting across the continental shelves and slopes, and they extend mostly from the mouths of large rivers. One example is the Hudson Canyon is the best known submarine canyon in the world because it is one of the important in the world. So we have here this diagram. This is how a submarine canyon looks like, and it is usually present in the continental margin. See, it is an extension of rivers. Okay, sometimes it acts as a mouth of the river. And these over here are alluvial fans, deposition of alluvium under the sea. So we have here pictures. See, this is a valley with very steep sides. This is a submarine canyon. Here also another picture of submarine. So the ocean floor has another part which is the deep oceanic basin or the ocean basin. After the continental margin, from the continental rise, we see the continuation of the ocean basin. So we have here the deep ocean basin are the deepest part of the oceans which marks the area lying on the oceanic crust. They are gently sloping areas which cover a major part of the Earth's surface. Since remember, 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by the ocean basin. They have an average depth of almost 4 to 6 kilometers. A number of relief features are found in the deep ocean basin, which differs in depth and height from the ocean floor. For example, the abyssal plain, abyssal hills, deep sea trenches, ridges and rift valleys, submarine volcanoes, seamounts, and guyots. So we will discuss about all of these features in the following slides. Here we have the deep sea trenches, which is the deepest part of the ocean basin. Then we have the abyssal plain, which is a flat monotonous plain. The abyssal hills, which rises slightly from the ocean floor. And then the seamounts, which are the mountains under the ocean, which rises. These seamounts, they can even rarely they reach up to the above the sea level, okay, and the guyots, which are the types of seamounts but having flat tops. So we will discuss about these in the following slides. So this is basically how a sea floor generally looks like. We have the abyssal floor, then it have the sea mounts and the guyots. Right? Sea mount, they are like a mountain. Okay? Sea mount is a mountain with pointed summits. Okay? So very steep pointed mountains rising from the ocean floor that does not reach the surface of the ocean. Okay? These are volcanic in origin and can be 3,000 to 4,500 meters tall. Very rarely they rise above the sea level as seen in Hawaii Islands. Okay, so these are the sea mounts. Over here we have lots of sea mounts over here. Clear? The smaller ones are abyssal hills, so these are sea mounts. Like this. This shows the stage of the formation of guyots. Alright? So a sea mound very rarely, if the area where the sea mound is formed, okay, it is still an active one or it is volcanic in nature. So sometimes because of the very active volcanic activity, the lava it builds up that its surface can be seen on top of the ocean surface or the water surface in the form of volcanic islands. Alright? But usually when we look into sea mounts, they are under the ocean surface. Clear? Alright? And then on the other hand, we have guyots. Guyot is a flat top sea mount. Alright? It is once in its lifetime, it was a sea mount. But it got eroded to form a guyot. It is like a plateau. Okay, it is estimated that more than 10,000 seamounts and guyots exist in the Pacific Ocean alone. So here they show the stages of formation of a guyot. We have a volcanic eruption which forms the volcanoes which goes up to the which might go up beyond the uh, beyond the water surface. So these are known as the seamounts. Alright. These seamounts over the years they get eroded by the waves. Okay, you have very strong waves in the ocean. They get eroded by the waves. Alright, and as their summit gets eroded, there comes a point of time where they completely lost the summit and form flat tops like this. Okay, which is also known as subsidence of the seafloor. They form flat tops like this. So the sea mounts which have been eroded by the wave, these form guyots. Okay, it's like a flat top sea mount, right? So we'll move to the next slide. Now another feature, alright, of the ocean floor is the oceanic deeps or trenches. Oceanic deeps. Why we call it oceanic deeps? Because these are the deepest part of the earth's surface. Okay, deepest part of the earth's surface. Right. So they are also known as trenches. Trenches, why? Because they are built like a trench, like this, a deep like this. So the trenches are depressions which occur in the ocean floor, relatively steep-sided, narrow basins. Okay, they are 3 to 5 kilometers deeper than the surrounding ocean floor. Right? 3 to 5 kilometers deeper than the surrounding ocean floor. So this is the ocean floor, the average depth. They will be deeper than this average depth of the ocean floor. Right? They occur at the bases of the continental slopes and along island arcs and are associated with active volcanoes and strong earthquakes. That is why they are very significant in the study of plate movements. Alright, when we talk about convergent movements, okay, where two plates they converge towards each other, okay, opposite movement. One comes from here and the other comes from here. So there is a convergence movement. In that convergence movement, one plate will go below or get subducted below the other plate. So as this plate gets subducted below the other plate, a trench is formed in between in this way. Alright, this is the continental plate and this is the oceanic plate. Oceanic plates are always heavier. That is why they used to get subducted mostly. Okay, so that depression which is formed as a result of that subduction of two plates is known as a trench. So you have various trenches which are there, which are distributed all over the world. You have the Aleutian Trench, the Mid-America Trench, Peru-Chile Trench. This is the longest trench in the world, right? Peru-Chile Trench. Longest trench in the world. Okay, this forms a margin between two plates. So I want you to find out what is the plate which is located here and what is the plate which is located here. So this is the margin between those two plates and it forms a longest trench, Peru-Chile Trench. And then we have all of these other trenches over here. Okay, the Java Trench. Usually they are associated with plates. Okay, plate margins. And then we have this one is the Mariana Trench. This is the deepest trench in the world. Remember, it is 11,033 meters deep. Okay, the Mariana Trench, the deepest trench in the world. It is seen in the North Pacific Ocean. Alright, so this is known as the Mariana Trench. So as many as 57 deeps have been explored so far, 57 trenches, alright, of which 32 are in the Pacific Ocean, 19 in the Atlantic Ocean and 6 in the Indian Ocean. Okay, I hope it's clear. What are trenches? They are depressions which occur in the ocean floor, alright. They are also known as oceanic deeps or oceanic trenches. Oceanic deeps, they are associated mostly with the formation of island arcs. Island arcs are a curved chain of volcanic islands. Alright, they are a curved chain of volcanic islands located at a tectonic plate margin. Alright, a convergent plate margin. Why? Because they are typically associated with a deep ocean trench on the convex side. So we have here in the Pacific Ocean, alright, we have many trenches. Remember, Pacific Ocean, it has the maximum number of trenches in the world, almost around 32, right? So these are the trenches. And please keep this in mind. Trenches are always associated, mostly associated with the formation of island arcs, alright, which are volcanic islands. Because why? When the plate gets subducted, okay, under another plate, what happened is there is a huge, that plate, the oceanic plate, it gets melted under the Earth's surface. In the mantle area, it gets melted and a pressure used to be built up. And this pressure
They built up as such that they want to release the pressure. The pressure which is being released are in the form of volcanoes. Alright, that is why we have this area coated with pink. This is known as the Pacific Ring of Fire because it is a chain of volcanic area. Alright, so all of these red spots, red and yellow spots, these are active volcanoes which are found all over the world. Alright, in particular here in the Pacific. So that is why this area is known as the Pacific Ring of Fire. And these volcanic islands, they are associated with trenches. They are formed because of the presence of oceanic trenches. So here we have one example. This is known as Japan Archipelago. Alright. Archipelago also it means island arc. And we have here, this is the Japan Trench. Alright. Japan Trench is located over here. And the island arcs are formed over here. Alright. See. When we look into the Java Trench over here, we have the Sumatra Islands, Java Islands, Bali Islands over here which is formed, which is an island arc. Alright. Similarly here, the Aleutian Trench is over here and we have a group of Aleutian Islands over here. And all of these islands, mostly they are volcanic in origin. Okay. So similarly, we have in India, alright, we have only one active volcano in India. Means when you say active volcano means which is still erupting. Alright, so the last time this volcano erupted in India is in March 2017. So this is located over here, over the Java Trench. We have the Andaman and Nicobar Islands located over here. So, and we have the Java Trench over here. Alright, and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are formed over here, which are island arcs. So we have an active volcano in India, which is known as the Barren Island.
Another feature of the ocean basin we have is the mid-oceanic ridges. The mid-oceanic ridges is composed of two chains of mountains separated by a large depression such as a rift valley. A rift valley basically it is a valley with two steep sides. Alright, so we have the mid-oceanic ridges, or they are also known as rises, are formed in zones of tension where plates diverge from each other. Alright, plates they diverge from each other. So we have here this diagram, it shows the different plate movements, this diagram over here. So we have here, if this is one plate, alright, an example of one plate, this will be another plate. Okay, suppose this is one plate over here, and then it sees, and these are the plate margins. Okay, the plate margins are the ones which are the most active. All right, they are the most active floor movement. Okay, they form the active features of the ocean floor. All right, because why? There is continuous movement. As you all know, plates are continuously moving, they are very dynamic. Okay, so mid-oceanic ridges are part of the plate margins. Okay, so it is the margin or the boundary between two plates, and these type of plate margins, they are diverse plate margin. Okay,
So they have a divergence movement, means that they move away from each other. As these plates move away from each other, what happens is we have the magma. Okay, the magma in the atmosphere, what happens is it rises up from this part, which is like an opening. This opening over here, it is known as the Rift Valley. Okay, it has steep sides like this, and there's a valley in between. This is the part where the magma gets to move upwards. Okay, so in this part, the liquid fiery substance is known as magma. As it reaches up to the surface of the ocean floor, all right, it is known as lava. So this upwelling magma, slowly it turns into lava, all right, and it builds up these areas over here, which are known as mountains. Okay, so when we talk about mid-oceanic ridges, they are two chains of mountains separated by a large depression, such as a rift valley. So one chain of mountain over here and one chain of mountain over here, separated by a rift valley. These features are known as mid-oceanic ridges. So the mountain ranges can have peaks as high as 2,500 meters, and some even reach above the ocean surface. As the magma upwells, alright, and the lava started to build up, these mountain ridges, ranges, these mountain ranges, they can come to the surface of the water, or they can appear above the sea level in the form of islands, okay, such as the case in Iceland, which is present over here. This island over here is part of the mid-oceanic ridges, and it is the area where the mountain ranges have reached above the sea level. Alright, okay, so these are known as mid-oceanic ridges, and they are present all over the world. So the longest or the most important mid-oceanic ridges in the world is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Right, it is the longest. And then we have different other important ridges. Okay, Central Indian Ridge, where we have the Mauritius, we have the Maldives Islands, which are formed. These are also part or a product of these mid-oceanic ridges. All right, okay. And then we have the Southeast Indian Ridge. All of these form plate boundaries. Okay, divergent plate boundaries. All right, okay. So Iceland is a part of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is an example. So here we have the example of mid-oceanic ridges, which is Iceland. Okay, a very important example. Iceland has a divergent plate boundary running through its middle. It forms part of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge and rises above the sea level, which form the island. All right. So we have here is the island, which is known as Iceland. All right, and we have many active volcanoes along this rift valley. All right, this rift valley, which is part of the mid-oceanic ridge. So we have one mountain range over here and the other mountain range over here. These are all volcanic in origin. All right, and we have many active volcanoes along the rift. This is an example of one of the volcanic mountain, okay, in Iceland. So I want you to find out there is one island which is of very recent origin in Iceland, okay, and it is only 50 years old. So I want you to find out what is the name of that island. All right, it was formed due to volcanic activity and it surfaced from the ocean. All right, It was formed, its age is only 50 years. Okay, so its name start with S. So you find out about that.